Hi, my friends. Happy Saturday. And welcome to another Chit Chat live from East Texas. I'm DC. I'm your host, and I'm so excited you guys are joining me today. For those of you guys who are new and are not familiar with this show, I started this show honestly about a year ago. We're turning one this month, which is May. Exciting. Because I wanted to honestly help people live their best life now. I really wanted to give people tools and tips to help everyone start dreaming again. I really wanted everyone to start living the life they're meant to live. Not halfway there, not be a secondary character in your life, but truly just enjoy what you're supposed to be doing every day. So for that reason is why we're here. Today, we're going to talk about one of those really uncomfortable discussions, which is toxic people. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to talk about it. We're going to talk about toxic people, toxic environments as well. But before we start, let's go ahead. I see some people already giving me some love. Give me some love. Give me some shares. Like this program. Share with somebody. Invite people to come and join us. Growth is always better when we do it together. So share this topic with everybody. Make sure they're joining us in it. If you have questions at any point in time, I'll be looking down at my screen to make sure. So type a comment in there. Let me know. If I'm not answering during the show, I'll get back to you. You guys know I read all your comments throughout the week and I will reply. If you're watching the replay, don't be afraid. Put your comments in there as well. I'll still go back. If you're watching live on Facebook, awesome. If you're watching us on YouTube, amazing. Go ahead. Make sure you're clicking your notifications so you can get more from us. So that's amazing. So it is May 1st if you're watching us live, which means next week is Mother's Day. So let's go ahead. Before we start, for those of you who've been watching for a while, you probably know I am crazy about traditions. I love history. So anytime we can kind of celebrate, I love to do it. So let me give you some quick tips before we get started on this show. So for everybody who's looking at it, Mother's Day, believe it or not, it is celebrated in over 50 countries in the world. So it is a huge celebration. With that in mind, out of those 50 countries, 26, including the United States, celebrate Mother's Day the second Sunday of May. So next Sunday, we will have 26 countries across the world celebrating Mother's Day. And the celebration ranges anywhere from May to October, April, you name it. So other countries have different days. For those who are celebrating in the Dominican Republic, Mother's Day for my Dominican family is the last Sunday in May. So my mom gets 2 Mother's Day celebration because she likes to remind me that she gets 2, just in case I can't help it. It happens. So yes, so Mother's Day is coming up. So some quick and fun facts. Mother's Day actually goes back all the way up into ancient Greek. So back in the day, where the celebration actually can be traced back to, is celebrating Rhea, actually, who was the mother of all gods. So that's actually when it was traced back to. In the United States, believe it or not, the first time we can trace it back was 1872, is when the whole process of Mother's Day was talked about. It wasn't, unfortunately, till 1914 with President Wilson that he actually made the proclamation to make it a national holiday. So from 1914, so over 100 years, we have been celebrating Mother's Day. So here's some quick things to kind of keep in mind. If you look it up, one of the things that the Consumer Association says, Mother's Day is actually the most successful commercial holiday we have, believe it or not. It is the holiday that you have the most cards, the most flowers, and also the most dining out celebration throughout the year. So that says a lot. So for everybody getting ready to think about what can I do for Mother's Day? How do I celebrate? Go ahead, take a mother out to a local restaurant. Support a local business while you're at it. Give something special to that special person in your life that has done it. And to all the mothers, ladies, I don't know how to say it enough, is Happy Mother's Day. A little early, but start celebrating. Make it a week celebration. As a child that truly has an incredible mother, there's not enough words to say thank you. There's not enough words to tell you how much we appreciate you all, how much we love you, and how much we appreciate the fact that you believe in us, even when we don't believe in ourselves. So happy Mother's Day, ladies. Enjoy. For everybody else trying to think, you have about a week. Start planning, which means I will be getting online. Me and 800 flowers on first name basis. I'll be sending my mom some flowers. So happy Mother's Day. So with that transition, we're going to talk about a topic that I think every mother wants to know about is, are my children happy? That's the key. My mom said something to me growing up that kind of blew my mind. My mother said, I don't care what you do as long as you're happy. So the measurement for success in my life is a little different. I truly measure success when it comes to, am I happy? Am I truly excited about what I'm doing? And if I'm not, I tend to make some changes. That's kind of where it is. When things stop being exciting, when things stop being happy about what I'm doing, changes tend to happen. So am I happy is the catch. So happiness is all about it. And one of the things that, believe it or not, can actually stop your happiness is toxic people. Or, believe it or not, toxic environments. And that's all I want to talk to you guys about today. So buckle up. Let's start our discussion. Let's start discussing honestly. Do you know the signs? Let's talk about toxic people, toxic relationships. Do we understand? Do we recognize it? One of the things that if you do a search online, anywhere you're looking at it, you're going to have lots of lists. Do a Google, me and Google first name basis as well. Do a Google search and you can have all the different traits about toxic people as well as toxic environments. So what I've done for all of us today is I kind of compiled some of the most common ones. I wanted to give us all kind of talking points of some of the things that is most prevalent out there. So that's really what we're going to discuss. What are some of the most common things that when you go online and you look for toxic people? So we're going to start with that. So let's jump into it right now. So let's discuss toxic people in our lives or around us. So the very first one I want to talk about is passive aggressive. Here's the thing, my friends. You might know somebody, you might see somebody, you might live with somebody. Passive aggressive behavior, and this is kind of something I had to learn as an adult. So as a Dominican, we usually joke, my brothers and I joke all the time that there's nothing passive aggressive about Dominicans. So she's going to get mad and tell you, we're going to blow up, and then we're going to get over. So we're more on the aggressive side, not the passive. But what does passive aggressive really mean? These are people that are not going to come up front and tell you that they're mad. They're going to take little jabs. They're going to take little shots at you. They're going to try, without sounding mean and condescending, which they are, take shots of what you have done. So it is an effort to hurt you without actually being pointed out. Because if you call them on it, they're going to deny it to the core. They're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That is not the case. So toxic people, one of the traits that you can see in them is passive aggressive. Let's look at another one. Judgmental. So here's what I want to clarify before everybody panics. So a lot of the things you're going to see are traits that we all have. That's a given. We're human. We have these behaviors. What happens when it becomes toxic, it was when you see them prevalent all the time. When these things become commonplace in your life, either yours or somebody else you're living with. When it starts affecting how you treat other people. So judgmental, everybody's a tad bit judgmental. Let's be honest about it. I have to be very, very careful with it. It's, you're criticizing, but are you passing judgment on them? What does that mean? We all tend to have it. It is a natural reaction as a human being to put things into category and kind of put them into blocks. What we have to be careful is, what are you doing with that information? So judgmental and toxic people is they're criticizing everything. They're criticizing your traits, your physical appearance, how you talk, what you do. Nothing's ever right. You know what I mean? They're always passing judgment on you. So when you're thinking about it, realize we're looking at these conditions that are excessive, these conditions that are taking a toll, and they're becoming damaging. So let's look at the next one. Controlling and manipulative. This is a little bit kind of challenging. At times it can be subtle. This is the weird part about it is, are they trying to control you? Are they trying to get their way? Are they doing little hints here and there to manipulate you into something they want? One of the things that you can see is high maintenance people kind of fall in this category. You know what I mean? I have met people, or I have been experienced with a lot of people, that it tends to be very much like, give you a little bit of a guilt trip. They're trying to manipulate you. They want you to pick a side. They're always trying to get you to be with this and not this person. It becomes very exhausting, let's be honest. Controlling high maintenance people are exhausting after a while. So think about toxic. How much do they need you? How much do these people want you around? What are you supposed to do? Are you always trying to keep them happy? So let's jump into the next one. Narcissists. Have you noticed, and it seems to be very, very prevalent. We go through stages where kind of like there's a buzzword. What's the hot new word out there? Narcissism has been around for a while, let's be honest, not new. But it's becoming much more talked about than we have seriously seen. So narcissistic behavior is all about me. It is all focused on I. They're not very concerned about other people's feelings. They're not so concerned about what other people care. They're not thinking of others as a priority or whether the person is happy or not. So when you think of a narcissist, it's always the me first. They're not that concerned with your happiness. Everything they do and everything they will do is to make themselves look better. They're always all about trying to have one up in somebody else. So while it is a buzzword, we always want people to focus. So, which is strange because I'm talking about how to make you happy, how to be the best that you can. But at the same time, it's being happy in an environment that you're not stepping over others. It's being in an environment that you are part of a society, that you are giving back, that you're part of a very nurturing world. Narcissistic behavior tends to be very one-sided. So think about it. Think of people in your life, of people that you have seen, people that you have met. It is all about them 24/7, regardless of what happens. You have a great story to tell. Every celebration, they're going to have two, and they're going to have to top you off. So think it that way. So let's look at the next one, my friends. Negative or negativity. Oh my God. So like everything else, we have to look at it in moderation. What does that mean? I am super positive, which kind of scares people, believe it or not. I am always very cheery, 90% of the time. No, 99. Yeah, I tend to be very cheery. But I'm always looking for the positive side. I'm always looking for the silver lining. That's just my nature. I come from a house that my parents automatically are looking for. What can we do? How can we make the most out of this situation? When you're meeting toxic people and negative people specifically, nothing good happens. These are the people that, it's raining outside. It's going to be horrible the rest of the day. Well, it's been kind of dry. We could actually use some rain. This could be beneficial. They're never going to see anything positive, regardless of the situation. They're never going to look for anything good and anything happening. And they're always very downers. So when you're thinking about it, who are these people that regardless of what happens, they're never going to have anything good. They're going to complain 24/7. I have to be very careful, and I'll explain a little bit more as we go, is how did this affect me? You know what I mean? These things can be very influential to your mindsets. Just like passive aggressive behavior can actually affect your self-esteem. If you have a person in your life that is constantly criticizing you, they're always being judgmental. There's nothing you can do, especially if they're negative, that is right. After a while, these things start falling into your subconscious and you start believing it. So this can be very, very dangerous. So let's look at the last one in the list. This is the one that I can tell you I recently kind of experienced. I use this phrase a lot and most people kind of look at me kind of funny. Emotional blackmailers or emotional blackmail is real. And if you have never experienced, bless you, thank God, you are definitely blessed about that. But let me explain. What is it and what does it do? And you probably can see it a lot once you start thinking about it. Emotional blackmail is people that are trying to control you. They're trying to make you feel guilty because they know what buttons to push. They're literally using guilt to manipulate you to get what they want. You know what I mean? Is I need to go somewhere, or they want something and you might be busy. Well, if you love me, you would do this for me. Well, if there's always these things that they're using to control you. A lot of the times is guilt, which is really dangerous because we tend to take it, it's in the subconscious. They know what buttons to push. They know the things to say. They know how to control us. And a lot of the times, people who use emotional blackmails are people close to us. Because let's be honest, I had a conversation recently and I kind of joke about it, is insults are only offensive, believe it or not, if you can actually understand them. Somebody made a comment that I had no clue what it said, went over my head. I did not even think twice about it. I was like, okay, that's great. And I just kept moving. It is not offensive because it didn't register. When you're thinking about it and you understand it and they hit a point, then it hurts. So yes, if you have never experienced emotional blackmail, I'm telling you, it is a blessing. If you have, you would know that people will use ways to influence you by making you feel guilty. Sometimes, believe it or not, because you're trying to do something for yourself and you didn't put them first. It's a combination of these things. So toxic traits, take a quick look again, my friends. Take a look at what we're talking about. Why are they important? So here's the thing to me specifically. You might want to disagree. A lot of the new way of thinking and a lot of the philosophers say it now is we are actually spiritual beings having a physical experience. Most of the times we want to flip it. We always think we're, physical in our body, having an emotion. We're spiritual, which translates into everything that I show you today is contagious. If you spend a lot of time in this environment, these things are going to be picked up. You either might be influenced, you might be picking it up, you might be affected by it. I am definitely an empath. I'm empathetic to the core. I also have to be very careful because most people kind of don't really see it. I'm a little bit more protective of myself. I pick up emotions very easily, which means I am very blessed to have in my life people like my brothers, my best friend, who are notorious for calling me when I go a little bit off the trail. But depending who I spend a lot of time with, those emotions can be effective. I can see it in myself. I have even caught myself going, why am I complaining? Like, what happened? That has never bothered me before. But because I was spending time with negative people, I was spending time with people that were complaining, I was spending time with people who were in this toxic environment, it slowly becomes part of who you are. So toxicity, when it comes to people, if you're a spiritual being, my friends, you have to be careful who's in your circle. If you're trying to live the best life, if you're trying to live to your potential, you have to realize who's in your circle. You can't grow in a place, believe it or not, that you're surrounded by all this negativity. This is not conducive to it. So think about it that way. So we're going to jump now where we're talking about, environment. Because it is very, very easy to say, okay, I have negative people in my life, I'm going to avoid them. What happens when the negative people is in your home? When the negative people is in the place that you work? When the place, when the toxic people are around you and you can't get away? Can you recognize these signs as well? So we're going to talk about now environment. You have toxicity in people, but you also have it in locations. So here's some of the common traits I want you guys to look at it. So toxic place, and we're going to separate them. You have work and you have home. So let's look at it specifically. Let's start with work. Ineffective organizations. That's number one. So for anybody who has ever read Stephen Covey's The Speed of Trust, is a leadership development course, a book that he also has a course, but it's a book that I highly recommend it. It is probably easy read, but very, very effective. One of the things is actually Covey's son, so Junior does it. One of the things he talks about is an organization, specifically, believe it or not, a toxic organization, that people don't trust each other, that they're always competing with each other, is going to affect not only how they function, but the cost of what it takes them to succeed, as well how long it takes them. So toxicity applies very real in how you actually conduct business. So if you're in a toxic organization, whether you work there, you're running a business, small nonprofit, these things can all be seen. So you think about being ineffective. Number two, my friends, bad attitude. So we talked about the negative people. So negative people translates to a bad attitude. The sad thing is, once one person starts, it's contagious. It's like cancer. It tends to spread very quickly. So if you're an organization that is slowly transitioning to very toxic, unless something's happened and remove that situation, that person, whatever is creating from it, it'll tend to spread. And it's hard to control it once it's spread. One of the things I tell everybody, you either change the people or change the people. The people either make a change or you have to find a new home for those people, because it'll translate into a much more toxic situation. So look at the next one. We talked about bad attitude. Guess what? When you're ineffective, you have a bad attitude, the morale is going to drop. This is the reality of it. It's hard to contain it. Nobody wants to come to work, trust me, in an organization that is defective. You don't want to come to work in an organization that you're always getting beat up. You don't want to be in an environment that there's always fights, that there's always competition, that everybody's just negative. It is hard to be productive. It is hard to give your best when you feel like the life is being sucked out of you. I'm sorry, it doesn't work that well. So those are things to keep an eye on. So if your organization, wherever you're working, it feels like you're officially a part of Days of Our Lives, you have too much drama. That's another thing. I am familiar with tons of drama in organizations, and I realize we have some people that, which is strange, they either love drama, they thrive in drama, and they create it. So when things are going pretty smooth, they just add more to their lives, and you're going, how is this possible? Drama comes with toxicity. So if you're always finding an organization, everybody's always arguing about things that make no sense, check the level of drama in there. Now let's look at competition. This might sound a little odd, you know what I mean? There's such thing as healthy competition. When we're talking about this right here, competition specifically talking about who is trying to compete for the boss's attention. You know, are you stabbing somebody in the back to get to the top? Are you competing for somebody's attention? So this is a little bit different. What is the level of competition? You know, is it healthy competition and everybody's pushing each other up to the next level, or you're trying to take people out? So an environment that has these little things going on, you can see a little pockets. If it's not stopped early, is going to progress to the perfect storm and it's a catastrophe. And this is the part most people take for granted. It is not as easy to bring back if you let it go out of control. Now, you're looking at switch because environments is more than just work. What about home? You know, we're talking about toxic environments. Toxic environments in the home can be very, very damaging, my friends. You're looking at anything from emotional abuse to physical abuse. So when you're looking at it, you know, emotional neglect as well. You know, you're looking at a toxic relationship between a parent and a child, or you're looking at a spouses, you know, a spouse between spouses or partner. You know, emotional and toxic environments when it comes to the home quickly escalate. And here's the part. We are human beings and we tend to be conditioned very easily. You know, I usually tell everybody, you know, in the military, honestly, it took about 2 weeks for our minds and body to adjust to a combat situation. It doesn't take long. Hence the reason the military says complacency kills. It is easy to fall into complacency. Our minds are designed to help us survive. So they're going to try to find ways to block things, to help us cope. You got 50 trillion cells in our bodies, fully designed to keep us healthy and alive and happy. So they're going to try to do everything it can to protect us. So sometimes we tend to block things. So here's the one that we think about toxic environments that I've seen a lot more is elder neglect. You know, our population, as I get older, I realize people around me age. I'm like, when did this happen? But you see more of that. So environments are important. So I want you guys to take a look at it because I'm going to put the trace back on. You have toxic people. We also talk about toxic environment. What do we do? Here's the thing. You know, if we're truly talking about being spiritual beings and being emotional beings, what do we do? How do we deal with all of this? One of the things that I realized is, you know, our bodies are amazing. You know, they're an amazing machine designed to protect us. That's why those 50 trillion cells are working every day, maximizing to the capacity. So they're going to give us hints. You know, your body's going to tell you, it's going to give you clues and hints. Something's not right. Something doesn't feel right. Something is off. For years, I honestly kind of downplay my intuition. You know, you meet somebody new for the first time, you meet a coworker, a friend, somebody introduces you to somebody. And there's something off about this person. You automatically get this feeling in your gut. You know, you kind of feel like, I don't know what's going on. I used to dismiss that. I used to be like, it's just my imagination. I'm carried away. Into finally, honestly, it hit me. Every time I ignored, every time I made myself vulnerable, every time I made myself, you know, accessible to these people, it became drama. You know, they were toxic. They were high maintenance. They needed things. Everything in my bubble became much more difficult because I didn't listen to my body. So clues that your body's going to see. So we give you some traits, but think about it. If you're walking on eggshells around somebody, if every time you see this person, you just feel dread and doom, if every time you're talking to somebody, you leave after you talk to them drained, you know, they're sucking the life out of you. These are toxic people. Same thing with an environment. If you're going to a place and you can feel the tension and by the time you leave, you're exhausted, these are toxic places. This is how your body's trying to relate to you. This is what your body's trying to say, there's something wrong here. So we must listen. So what do we do? How do we make sure that we maintain some kind of sanity in our lives? Because at the end of the day, it's all about living our dreams. If you're always drained, if you're always fighting, if you're always exhausted, you're not going to live your best life. Now, there is no way. You're barely surviving. So what do we need to do? How do we actually adjust to this? Believe it or not, the very first one is awareness. I feel like G.I. Joe, for all those of you familiar with the old saying, knowing is half of the battle. Awareness is half of the battle. It's being open and aware to your surroundings. With that in mind, if you happen to be a person who is either toxic or borderline toxic, awareness is also huge. is looking in the mirror, and that's usually very hard because none of us, let's be honest, we don't want to look at the mirror. We don't want to see the bad. We want to look at ourselves like, hey, we're good people. We're just going through some hard times. But it is looking at ourselves, taking an inventory, taking an analysis and saying, I'm not perfect. Don't have to be perfect. I could be better. There are some things I want to work. But it's taking awareness. It's knowing that, hey, I need to work on myself, or this person's a bit toxic for me. I don't need to be spending as much time. So once you make that awareness, a conscious decision, something is not right. Step number 2 is putting some boundaries, believe it or not. You don't have to make an announcement, and please don't go out there and say, hey, DC say I can't talk to you no more. Let's slow it down. You don't have to make huge declarations, but you do have to give yourself some space. You do have to understand that spending 10 hours a day with somebody that is toxic might not be the best place for you. Always having lunch with the same person who's going to complain about everything and everyone might not be healthy for you. You have to remember, you're a spiritual being. Eventually, these things are going to get into you. You need to have some separation. You need to be able to protect yourself. So you need to have some boundaries. It's really that simple, but it takes practice. It's simple, but it's not easy, if that makes any sense. Because if we're not aware, we have been doing the same thing. You do know after you speak so long from somebody that you're drained, that you're tired, that you're just looking at the world and everything just looks sad and bad, even if you weren't that way the day before. So things to remember, things to consider. Pay attention, analyze it, and then put some separation. It's definitely not as easy when you're thinking back in the home. How do we do it? One of the things is having conversations with the people in your life that you can't separate, that you can't have that space. But also doing it when you're not angry. This is the part. Making sure you can have these conversations when you're not mad. Because the problem that happens is we want to address things and we want to do it in the heat of the moment. Then it escalates. You're mad, they're mad, and everybody literally just creates this never-ending struggle. So this is one of the things you want to be able to do. You want to be able to maintain a conversation that they don't feel attacked, but that you're able to be able to express your things, and one of the easiest way to affect change is changing ourselves. So if you want somebody to be more positive, then you got to be a little bit more positive. So as Mr. Doug said in the comments, absolutely, he's probably one of the happiest persons I know, but it is those comments. It is staying positive. It is staying focused. It is being cheerful for yourself first, not somebody else. And then if they see it, then they might want to be contagious. One of the things I realized, everybody seems to want happy people. They might want to beat it out of you after they meet you because you might be too happy for them. But happy people are contagious. Happy people just tend to attract people. So it is hard for you to figure out how to keep your light. So my friends, I have given you all sorts of fun, hopefully helpful facts. I really do hope that was helpful. Remember, it is a behavior. With that in mind, these are learned behavior, which means it can be changed. The programs in our mind can be adjusted. The things that we think, see, and do can be changed. Everybody tells me you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's great. We're not dogs, so it doesn't apply. You can change your behavior. You can change your attitude. You can change the way you see things if you decide to do it. It takes practice. Not easy, but you can do it, my friends. And it just takes practice. It's being rational to say, this is no longer serving me. I need to do something better. And absolutely. So hopefully this was helpful. I hope you enjoy it because this is what I'm here for. So May is going to be exciting for us. I have some amazing announcements to tell you, so I'm going to go ahead and let you all know. Since May has 5 Saturdays this month, you're going to see me twice in May, twice more. So on the 15th, because we're all about living our best life now, I have some incredible guests coming. So on the 15th, I have Miss Sandy Space joining us. She's a health guru, she's an artist, she's an entrepreneur, businesswoman, but she is living her best life now. She's a pioneer in an industry that is mainly very focused on men. So you're going to see her on the 15th. She's going to have some incredible lessons to teach us. And by the way, it's just beautiful message. So Miss Sandy's coming. Then on the 29th, by the way, I am, all know, I'm crazy about nonprofits. I'm crazy about community service and having an incredible organization that we can support. So Miss Mary Warmington is coming on the 29th to talk to us about Habitat for Humanities. She is the director here at the local Texarkana 1 chapter. So we're going to know all about it. For everybody who's not familiar, Habitat for Humanities helps low-income families build homes, which is an incredible program. They look for volunteers. So Mary's going to give us all that information. So I am super excited about our guests coming this month. I also have a huge surprise that I have been asked for a while to actually start doing and thinking. So I have been doing some prayers because I believe all about divine intervention. So I'm going to be doing workshops, and it's going to be the fourth Saturday of every month. It's all going to be based on my devotionals. So we're going to be doing online devotionals, and I'll be posting more details. They're going to be extremely affordable because we're going to do about 2 hours workshop, maybe $25 for anybody who wants to kind of join it. So we're going to definitely base on developing our beliefs, forgiveness, and of course the new devotional coming out is, daring to love. So I'm going to be posting that. Keep an eye on it if you want to spend a couple hours with me, truly working and going deeper into these things. How do we truly change our mindset? How do we change the way we see ourselves? How do we change the way we see the people around us? Even more, how do we focus on living the best life that we can right now? Not waiting till the ever after. How do we start living now? So keep an eye on that, my friends. I am super excited about everything coming. So for all of you joining me, thank you so much for being with me. So if you haven't given the episode a like, some love, go ahead, share with some friends, invite them to come and join us. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure to touch the notifications so you don't miss any of the live episodes. If you're watching on YouTube or you decided that you need to join, make sure you go ahead, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. You get to see all the chit-chats as well as some amazing speakers coming up for the Inside the Minds Author podcast, so you don't want to miss that. So my friends, like usual, it is always an honor. It is always a pleasure to be here with you, to kick off a Saturday morning, to be sharing something so special, and to be part of your growth and to your development. So thank you for joining me. I'm always excited to be here with you guys, sending you lots and lots of love, lots and lots of blessings from East Texas. I can't wait to see you guys in 2 weeks. If you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments or send me a private message. And remember, I believe in you. I know you're doing great. I know you're doing amazing things. Keep it up, my friends, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone.